Hello everyone, welcome to our second audio lecture. So today we will be talking about articles 1163 to 1174, the nature and effect of obligations. Article 1163 provides that every person obliged to give something is also obliged to take care of it with the proper diligence of a good father of a family, unless the law or the stipulation of the parties requires another standard of care. So 1163 talks about a specific or determinate thing. Okay, this talks about a specific or determinate thing. It doesn't talk about a generic or indeterminate thing. So first, let's distinguish the two, specific and generic. When we say specific, the thing is particularly designated or physically segregated from others of the same class. Like for example, when you say, my dog named Tristan. So that's very specific that that dog is mine and the name of the dog is Tristan. Or a car with engine number 1234. So that's very specific because you provide the engine number. A car, the color of the car is white with engine number 1234 and with the model blah blah blah, plate number 546. So that's very specific. That's a determinate thing. It can be designated, particularly or physically segregated from others. Kasi you can segregate Tristan, my dog, from other dogs. No, very specific. But when you say dog, a dog is a generic thing, an indeterminate thing. It cannot be pointed out with particularity. So, kinsa nga iro? Diba? When you say a car, unsa nga klase na car? Who owns the car? What kind? What type? What model? What's the plate number? What's the chassis number? What's the color? So, it's very generic. It's very indeterminate. So Article 1163, the rule in Article 1163 only applies to those specific or determinate thing. So it only applies to a car with chassis number 1234, to my dog named Tristan. So the rule there only applies to those specific things. But when we talk of a generic thing, Article 1163 does not apply. So when you have your textbook, the Hector M. De Leon textbooks, you have their examples. The watch I am wearing, kasi when you say the watch, watch lang, that's very generic. Unsa ang klase nga watch? But when you say my watch, that's specific. Kasi ako na watch, my watch, walay kapareha na nga laing watch because that is mine. No? The serial number is different from the others. Next, the car sold by X. When you say the car, that's very generic. But when you say car sold by X, the phrase sold by X makes the car specific. The house at the corner of Rizal and Del Pilar, so very specific with the house number, street number. But when you say house lang, that's generic. But when you say my house, that's specific. When you say a house with house number 1234, street, a Rizal street, so that makes it specific. Okay? The money I gave you, that's very specific because when you say money, that's generic. But because of the phrase, I gave you, the money I gave you, that makes the money now specific. It's a specific thing now. Okay? So that is the difference between a specific and generic thing. 63, it says there that if the obligation of the debtor, okay, is to give a determinate or a specific thing, the debtor has the obligation to preserve the thing. That is under Article 1163. As you can see on the screen, these are the duties of a debtor. If the debtor is obliged to deliver a determinate thing, you have 1 to 5 obligations, or when the debtor has the obligation to deliver an indeterminate thing or generic thing, you only have 2 obligations there. So let's start with the number 1 obligation, which is under 1163, to preserve the thing. So if you are to deliver a determinate or a specific thing, you are obliged to preserve the thing. Preserve the thing with the proper diligence of a good father of a family. Unless the law or the stipulation of the parties requires another standard of care. So let's discuss first Article 1163 as to the standard of care which is required under the law. So 1163, you have to preserve the thing. Diligence of a good father of the family, then we have another standard of care if stipulated by the parties. In other words, as a general rule, if you are obliged to deliver a specific thing, like you're going to deliver a car with chassis number 1, 2, 3, 4, meaning the car is a specific thing. So since it is a specific thing class, you have to preserve it with the diligence of a good father of a family. Why? That's a general rule. Kasi ang exception to the rule is this. If no stipulations, if there is a stipulation, no, agreed to by the parties, meaning there's another standard of care stipulated by the parties, you have to follow that stipulation. You have to observe that standard of care. Remember that what we have discussed last meeting, as to contracts, remember that the stipulations of the parties, no, in contracts have the force of law between them. Pasabot, kung unsig kasabutan sa parties, you have to follow, to obey, no? Dire, if there's no stipulations as to the standard of care, what will you follow? What standard of care will you follow? Will you observe? You're going to observe the diligence of a good father of the family. That is the general rule. But if the parties would agree na you have to deliver to me car with chassis number 1, 2, 3, 4, so specific. So meaning, before you deliver the car on December 1, so prior to December 1, you have to preserve, you have to take care of the car. What standard of care ang imuhang ihatag, ang imong i-observe? If there's no stipulations by the parties as to the standard of care, you follow the general rule. And what's the general rule? The diligence of a good father of a family. Now, what if they're going to stipulate na dili sila mag-observe og diligence of a good father of a family? The standard of care to be observed by the debtor is the normal standard of care lang. So you follow it. What do we mean by the diligence of a good father of a family? Kasi pasabot anak. It means, class, that is the ordinary care or the diligence which an average person, a reasonably prudent person, exercises over his own property. It's just like a father. Mao nang ginaingon, good father of the family. So a father would provide for his family. The father is a breadwinner. So normally, the father would provide, no, for his family to survive. Ingana po siya, that care here, the standard of care here that we're talking about, that is equated with the ordinary care in diligence of a good father of the family. Remember, this is the standard care as a general rule. Okay? Now, what if the parties would agree on another standard of care? Like if the parties would provide for a slight diligence or an extraordinary diligence. Kasi this one, the diligence of a good father of the family, this is an ordinary diligence, ordinary care. What if they would provide for a lower, no, standard of care? Pwede. What if they would stipulate on an extraordinary diligence? Then that's okay. You follow the stipulations of the party, the agreement of the party. Pag walay agreement as to the standard of care, what's the presumption? The presumption is the diligence of a good father of the family, because that is the general rule. Again, as a general rule, diligence of a good father of a family. The exception to the general rule is what? The stipulations of the parties. So another standard of care. If stipulated by the parties, then you follow it. Without such stipulations, you follow the general rule under 1163, which is the diligence of a good father of the family. So it's not correct to say that if you're going to deliver a specific thing, you always have to observe the diligence of a good father of the family. No, because that's only the general rule. The parties can always stipulate on another standard of care. Okay, so it is safe to say that without the stipulations by the parties, then the debtor has to observe the diligence of a good father of the family. Kana lang. So if you will be asked sa true or false, let's say true or false questions sa exam, or even in the board exam when you reach your 4th year and then you're going to have your board exam review, and then you will be taking your board exam, the CPA board exam. So true or false, the debtor shall always observe the diligence of a good father of the family in preserving the specific thing. The answer, of course, is false, not always. Why? Because if there is a stipulation by the parties, then you follow the stipulation, the standard of care being stipulated by the parties. So that is Article 1163. The diligence of a good father of the family is a general rule, then another standard of care as an exception to the rule if that is stipulated by the parties. Examples. Number 1. A is obliged to deliver a Toyota car with engine number 1234 to B on May 1, to be delivered on May 10. Okay. In that example class, as you can observe, there is no standard of care expressly stipulated, no, by the parties. So if the problem is silent as to the standard of care, what will you apply? What provision will apply? It's Article 1163, the diligence of the good father of a family as a general rule. So no stipulations as to the standard of care to be observed by the parties, specifically by the debtor. Then what's the general rule? The presumption is you observe as a debtor, you observe the diligence of a good father of a family. So CA, before A will deliver the Toyota car with engine number 1234 to B on May 10, so from May 1 to May 9, A has to take care of the Toyota car, of the thing, no? Of the specific thing, with the diligence of a good father of a family. So ordinary care lang. Unsa ng ordinary care? Syempre, trapuhan ni A ang car, no? Ibutang sa kanang garage na nailandong para dili mag-fade ang paint. Tapos, ipalayo ni A sa, let's say, para wala mga scratches sa mga iro. So, ordinary care, just ordinary care. Trapuhan, limpyuhan ng sulod, that is diligence of a good father of a family. That is what we call ordinary care. So, muna siyang number 1. So, in number 1, since the problem is silent, the standard of care to be observed by the debtor is the diligence of a good father of a family. How about number 2? A is obliged to deliver a Toyota car with engine number 1234 to B on May 1, to be delivered on May 10 with extraordinary care. So here, as you can notice, we have here the phrase extraordinary care. So meaning the standard of care to be observed by the parties in this example is being stipulated. There is an express stipulation by the parties. Nag-agree sila na dapat extraordinary care. Pasabot, under 1163, if the parties would agree on the standard of care, then you follow the stipulation. You follow the agreement by the parties. So in this example, A, as the debtor, would take care of the thing not with the diligence of a good father of the family, but with extraordinary care, because that is an exception to the general rule. There is a stipulation by the parties in this example. So kapag extraordinary care, mas sobra pa sa ordinary care, no? So siguro, aside from the trapo-trapo, kung trapuhan lang nimo para walay abog, that is ordinary care. Ang sa ordinary care siguro, ipawax pa nimo, ipawax pa ang sakyanan para mukinlaw. So that's an example of extraordinary care. So again, it depends on the stipulations by the parties. It depends on the intentions of the parties. So here the parties intended that the standard of care to be observed by the debtor in taking care of the thing, in preserving the thing prior to delivery, is extraordinary care. Now, what if, kung ang nakabutang lang, A is obliged to deliver a car to be on May 1, to be delivered on May 10. So, kung car lang, that is a generic thing. So, question, will Article 1163 apply? Of course, no. Would there be a diligence of a good father of the family? None. Would there be another standard of care to be observed by the parties? None. Kasi 1163 does not apply to a generic thing. It only applies to a specific thing. Here in these two examples, we are talking about specific things. We're done with the first obligation of the debtor, when the debtor is obliged to deliver a determined thing. So we are done with the preservation of the thing under Article 1163. So again, we have the diligence of a good father of the family and another standard of care if and only if stipulated by the parties. Remember, under generic thing or indeterminate thing, we don't have any standard of care, no? Talk about. So, just deliver the thing. Ingana lang ang buhaton kapag generic thing. So, again, in our example, if you are going to deliver a car, so meaning generic siya, no standard of care to be observed by the debtor. Kung sinang buhaton sa debtor, just to deliver the thing. That's number 1 there, under indeterminate thing. And number 2, liable for damages in case of fraud, negligence, or delay. We will discuss that later. So we're done with number 1, under determinate thing. Now let's go to number 2. Number 2, obligation of the debtor. If the debtor is obliged to deliver a determinate thing, is to deliver the fruits of the specific thing. And that is under 1164. Okay, let's go to Article 1164, the second obligation of the debtor. That's to deliver the fruits of the specific thing. So 1164 provides that the creditor has a right to the fruits of the thing from the time the obligation to deliver arises. However, he shall acquire no real right over it until the same has been delivered to him. So under Article 1164, we have 3 kinds of fruits. Okay, we have the natural, the industrial, and the civil fruits. When we say natural fruits, these are the spontaneous products of the soil and the young and other products of animals. Like we have the grass, that's a natural fruit, trees, plants on the land, produced without the intervention of human labor. Kasi, if the trees, the plants, or the produce on the land are with intervention of human labor, that's no longer natural fruits. That is already industrial fruits. So kapag natural fruits, ipasagdan lang, nabuhi ra sa iya, nitubo ra sa iya. But if there is human intervention, okay, human labor na, like for example, nagtanong na kag mangga, ang mangga class, ang fruits ng mangga, it's no longer a natural fruit. The fruits are considered industrial fruits. So industrial fruits are those produced by lands of any kind through cultivation or labor, like vegetables, rice. So nanguma ka, nagtanom ka, there's fruits, no? Ang tawag sa fruits, because of cultivation or labor, we call it industrial fruits. Because these are products brought about by reason of human labor. How about civil fruits? These are derived by virtue of a juridical relation. Like, for example, renta. Renta ng building. So, if you have a building and then you lease it out, so na kay mga, let's say, 5 units sa kanang building. So, per unit, irenta nimo. Kanang rental income, you call that civil fruit, Okay, civil fruit ang tawag because it is by virtue of a juridical relation. Okay, or other prices of leases of lands and properties or life annuities. So these are considered civil fruits. 1164. When does the obligation to deliver the fruit arise? Kano sa ka magkaroon ng obligasyon to deliver the fruits? Like for example, you're going to deliver a dog named Tristan. So a dog named Tristan, that's a specific thing. Specific, very specific. So now you have the obligation to deliver also the fruits of that specific thing. What if si Tristan ang iro ng anak? So mga anak ni Tristan are considered fruits ni Tristan, no? Fruits. So we have, pwede matawag siya na natural fruits ng anak si Tristan, na buntis ng anak. Now, question, when does your obligation to deliver the puppies, katong mga anak ni Tristan, arise? So that's the question. And that is being answered under Article 1164. Because according to 1164, the obligation to deliver the fruits arises from the time to deliver the thing. Okay? So, meaning, when is the time to deliver the thing considered the perfection of contract? So, ang time to deliver it arises, kana nga phrase, from the time to deliver it arises. The it there pertains to the specific thing. So, from the time that you're going to deliver the specific thing, that's also the time that you are obliged to deliver the fruits of the specific thing. We have here an example. A sold his horse to B on May 1, to be delivered on May 3. So, pasabot, gibaligyan niya May 1, pero kano say deliver? May 3. Then the horse gave birth to a colt. Kano sa? On May 2. So, May 1, the sale of the horse by A to B. May 2, the horse gave birth to a colt. Nanganak ang horse. May 3, ang due date ng delivery ng horse kay B. So, question, is B entitled to the delivery of the colt? That's the question. Na ba siya katungod sa colt, sa anak ng horse? Kasi ang colt considered as a fruit, a natural fruit of the specific thing. Here, the specific thing is the horse. Na ba siya katungod? That's the question. Since you are obliged to deliver a specific thing, the answer is yes. Why? Because the debtor is obliged to deliver also the fruits of the specific thing. So CB is entitled to the delivery of the colt. Now, when does the obligation to deliver the fruit, the colt here, when does the obligation to deliver the colt arise? Kano sa? May 1, May 2, or May 3? That is now the question. So remember, ang obligation to deliver the fruits arise upon the perfection of the contract. From the time to deliver it arises, and that is the perfection of the contract. So when was the contract perfected? When was the execution of the contract? The contract was perfected on May 1, the sale of the horse. So May 1. So when does the obligation to deliver the fruits arise? May 1. So even though the horse gave birth to a colt on May 2 and due to be delivered on May 3, on May 1 pa lang, B has a right over the fruit, over the colt. But the right of B over the colt is only a personal right, not a real right. What do we mean by personal right? Personal right meaning you have the right to enforce the obligation. You have the right to enforce the obligation. Nakikatungod, personal lang. But from the time that the thing is delivered to you, you acquire now a real right over the thing. Meaning you own now the thing. You have a real right over the thing. So na nakikatungod sa specific thing as well as sa fruits with ownership na siya. You are now the owner. Kasi delivery class, okay, produces ownership. So kapag ma-deliver na sa imuha ang thing, then there is ownership on your part. So on May 1, B doesn't own the horse pa. On May 2, wala pa. But on May 3, upon delivery of the horse to B, B now has ownership over the horse as well as the colt. On May 3, B has a real right over the horse and the colt. But on May 1, B has only a personal right over the horse and the colt. Because delivery would make B the owner of the horse and the colt. So if B now is the owner of the horse and the colt, B now has the real right over the horse and the colt. So again, the time to deliver the specific thing and the fruit of the specific thing that pertains to the perfection of the contract. So when does the obligation to deliver the fruits arise? From the perfection of the contract. When does the obligation to deliver the specific thing arise? From the perfection of the contract, but only a personal right pa. Once delivered, then it is converted from a personal right to a real right. Okay? So that's the difference between a real right and personal right. Examples. A sold his horse to B on May 1. So the sale took place on May 1, to be delivered on May 30. On May 15, the horse gave birth to a colt. Question, is A obliged to deliver also the colt? That's the question. Before you answer the question, class, you ask yourself, is the thing specific or generic? Kasi if the thing is specific, the debtor is obliged to deliver the fruits of the thing. Now, if the thing is generic, the debtor has no obligation to deliver the fruits of the thing. So in this example, what is the prestation? What is the subject matter? What's the object? His horse. So when you say his horse, is that horse a specific or generic thing? The horse here is a specific thing because of the word his. Kanang his dira. So his horse, specific thing. That's very specific. Whose horse is that? Iyaha, his. The horse of A. Okay? So is A obliged to deliver also the colt? The answer, of course, is yes. Because A is to deliver a specific thing. And under Article 1164, if you're obliged to deliver a specific thing, you're also obliged to deliver the fruits of the specific thing. In this case, we have a natural fruit. Natural fruit is the colt, the natural fruit of the horse. So, question here, is A obliged to deliver also the colt? Again, the answer is yes. On May 1, B has the personal right over the horse and the colt. On May 30, once the horse and the colt are delivered to B, B has a real right over the horse and the colt. Second example, A sold a horse to B on May 1 to be delivered on May 30. On May 15, prior to delivery, okay, the horse gave birth to a colt, nanganak. Question, is A obliged to deliver also the colt? So again, ask yourself, is the prestation here, is the subject matter a specific or generic thing? Here, the thing here, the prestation is a horse. Pag may a horse, that is generic. So if it's a generic thing, you are not obliged to deliver the fruits of the generic thing. So what's the answer to the question? The answer, of course, is no. A is not obliged to deliver the colt because A here is to deliver a generic thing. And if you are going to deliver a generic thing, you are not obliged under the law to deliver the fruits of the generic thing. All you have to do is just deliver the thing itself. Just deliver the subject matter. Just deliver the horse. Okay, that's the answer to number 2 question. Let's go to the third obligation of the debtor. Under the determinate thing, we have to deliver the accessions and accessories, and that is provided for under Article 1166. Article 1166, this is the third obligation of the debtor, okay? If the debtor is obliged to deliver a specific thing. Okay, Article 1166 provides that the obligation to give a determinate thing includes that of delivering all its accessions and accessories, even though they may not have been mentioned. Pasabot, class, even if in the agreement of the parties, they do not expressly stipulate that the debtor is obliged to deliver the accessions and accessories of the specific thing, even if there's no mention about it, still the debtor is obliged to deliver the accessions and accessories. That is under Article 1166. Okay? So if the problem is silent, walay giingon kung i-deliver bang accessions and accessories. So, what's the obligation of the debtor? The obligation is to deliver the accessions and accessories. That is the general rule. Unless the parties would agree, would stipulate na there's no need to deliver the accessions and accessories, then you follow the stipulations of the parties. But if the problem is silent, walay gi-mention as to accessions and accessories, tapos naga-exist ang accessions and accessories sa thing, then you really have to deliver the accessions and the accessories of the specific thing, even if not mentioned in the agreement of the parties. Okay? Between accessions and accessories. When you say accessions, these are fruits of a thing or additions or improvements upon a thing or the principal. Example, the house on a land, a building on a land. The building, you call that as accession on the land. The trees are accessions on the land. Okay, they are fruits or they are additions or improvements upon a thing. Unsa pa? Ang fence. So nakay fence imong balay, the fence, class, is considered an accession, no? Sa balay, accession sa land. Because that is an improvement sa imong balay, that is an addition sa imong balay. The fence. We have the rents of a building. That's an accession. Okay? The air conditioner in a car. That's an accession. That's an addition sa car. Profits accruing from the shares of stocks. Dividendo, dividends. So a dividend, class, that is an addition or improvement sa imuhang shares of stocks. No? Additional income. So that is the definition of accession. How about accessories? Accessories, class, they are joined to or included with the principal thing for the embellishment, better use or completion of the thing. Pasabot, when we say accessories, the principal thing, no, cannot be used without the accessories. Okay? Cannot be considered as complete without the accessories. Like for example, key, susi. So if the car has no key, kung saan yung paggamit sa car? So a key of the car is considered an accessory of the car. A key of a house is considered an accessory of a house. Because without the key, then the house would not be of better use. We have a frame of a picture. The frame, that's for embellishment or better use of the picture. Muna na-frame ang picture. Bracelet ng watch. Just imagine walay bracelet ang imuhang watch. Ang saan mo pagsuot ang watch. So those are examples of accessories. Note that while accessions are not necessary to the principal thing, the accessory and the principal thing must go together. Pasabot, the accessory always follows the principal. So, kung asa ang principal, na jud accessory. Kung asa ang house, na jud susi. Kung na ay car, na jud susi ng car. No? So, here both can exist only in relation to the principal. If there is no principal thing class, there is no accession, there is no accessory. So, for example, house. A house is the principal thing. The fence of the house is an accession. Without the house, di ka magbutang og fence. Diba? Kung say purpose. Ang imong purpose na nakay fence because protektahan ang imong house. There is a house, that's the principal thing. Then you have a key of your house. So a key is an accessory. So both the accessory and the accession cannot exist without the principal thing, which is the house. Okay, which is the house. As a rule, the accessions and accessories, if you're going to deliver a specific or determinate thing, you have to deliver the accessions and accessories of the thing, even if it is not mentioned by the parties. But if you're going to deliver a generic thing, do not deliver the accession and the accessories. You only deliver the accessions and the accessories if and only if mentioned or stipulated or agreed upon by the parties. So that is now the difference between the specific thing and the generic thing as to the obligation of the debtor to deliver the accessions and the accessories of a thing. So kapag specific, you have to deliver even if not mentioned. Kapag generic, do not deliver. You deliver only if that is stipulated by the parties. A sold a house and lot situated at Block 9, Lot 15, Number 2, Aris Street, Lazada Village, Toril, Davao City, to B. A nipa hut is also constructed on the lot. Question: is A obliged to deliver the nipa hut? So you ask yourself, nipa hut, what is the nipa hut here? What's the role of the nipa hut? The nipa hut is an accessory or an accession. Of course, the nipa hut is an accession. That is an addition to or an improvement upon the house. Okay, accession. So, another question. Is the thing here specific or generic? Kasi if it is specific, you are required, you are obliged to deliver also the accession. If not, then no need to deliver. So, a house and lot situated at Block 9, Lot 15, Aris Street, Lazada Village, Toril, Davao City. So what do you call that thing? Is that specific or generic? That is specific. So if it is specific, question, are you obliged to deliver the accession, which is the nipa hut? The answer is yes. So in number 1, A is obliged to deliver the nipa hut. Number 2, A sold a house and lot in Davao City to B. A nipa hut is also constructed on the lot. Is A obliged to deliver the nipa hut? No. Why? Because the prestation here, the subject matter, is a generic thing. And the generic thing class, under the rule, under the law, if you are obliged to deliver a generic thing, you are not obliged to deliver the accession. You are only obliged to deliver the accession if and only if stipulated by the parties. But if the problem is silent, no need to deliver the accession. So in number 2, A is not obliged to deliver the NEPA hut. Done with number 3 obligation. Number 4 is to deliver the thing itself. That's under Article 1163. That's self-explanatory. So after preserving the thing, meaning observing the diligence of a good father of a family if the problem is silent, or another standard of care if stipulated by the parties, then you have to deliver the thing itself. That's under Article 1163. Now we go to number 5 obligation, that is to answer for damages in case of non-fulfillment or breach. That's Article 1170. That is the same obligation of the debtor if he is obliged to deliver an indeterminate thing, which is again under Article 1170. That's number 2 obligation under indeterminate thing. Liable si debtor for damages in case of fraud, negligence, or delay. Fifth obligation, if you're obliged to deliver, or the fifth duty, no? If you're obliged to deliver a specific thing, is to answer for damages under Article 1170. 1170 provides that those who, in the performance of their obligations, are guilty of fraud, negligence, or delay, and those who in any manner contravene the tenor thereof, are liable for damages. So, in case of fraud, negligence, delay, or contravention of the terms of the obligations, then you, the guilty party, you being the debtor, the guilty party, would answer for damages. When you say damages, daños. So, pasabot, there's a civil liability on your part to pay for damages. Daños siya. So, magbayad ka. Why? Because you are guilty of fraud, of negligence, delay, or contravention of the terms of the obligations. What do we mean by fraud? Fraud is the deliberate or intentional evasion of the normal fulfillment of an obligation. So there is dishonesty, there is malice, no? It's not just an honest mistake or error, but there is intention, no? Bad faith, intention to do something bad. So there is bad faith on the part of the debtor. So it involves a design to mislead or deceive another. Mangilad, mangatik. So that is fraud. Naka-intention to harm a person, to do something which is prejudicial to another. So there is what we call bad faith. There is malice on your part. That is fraud. Okay? Fraud. Like for example, you are obliged to deliver 10 bottles of wine. Instead, you deliver 9 bottles of wine lang. Ang ika-10, ang imong gibutangan og tubig. So there is an intentional what? Intentional bad faith. No? The intention to deceive the person. Giatik nimo, nangilad ka. Imong atik siya by believing na you make the person believe that those bottles are all wine, bottles of wine. Pero di ay, ang usa dito, water lang. So there is deception, no? You mislead or you deceive the person. So that is fraud. Nangilad ka. So since you are guilty of fraud, instead of wine, water imong gipadala, you are liable for damages. Magbayad ka, daños, to the person, to the creditor who is entitled for the delivery of the 10 bottles of wine. Okay? Negligence. Ang negligence class, kabaliktaran sa fraud. Why? Ang negligence, wala nimo gituyo. No intention on your part to do harm. No? No bad faith, no malice. No intention to mislead or deceive. Nagkataon lang, nagtinanga ka. There is error, there is mistake, honest mistake. Still class, bisag wa nimo gituyo, you have to pay for damages. Why? Because under Article 1170, if you are guilty of negligence, you are still liable to pay for damages. Like for example, katong bottles of wine, 10 bottles of wine. Namali ka, nalintani mo, ang imuha day napadala, bottles of water. Nagkamali lang jud ka, kay na busy ka and all. Question, are you exempted to pay for damages? Exempted ba ka kay honest mistake wani mo gituyo? The answer is no, because even if there is no intentional bad faith, even if there's no fraud on your part, there is what we call negligence. Nagtinanga ka. Remember what we have discussed last meeting? Katong negligence, wani mo gituyo, na naigo nimo og badminton racket si B, no? Si A and B played badminton. Accidentally naigo ni A si B sa naong. So nagka-black eye si B. Question, is A obliged to pay for damages kay B? Yes. Bisag pa wala gituyo. That is negligence, no? Negligence. Quasi-delict. Remember quasi-delict? I hope you still remember quasi-delict. So, mo na siya, fraud, negligence, still liable for damages. Okay? So, you have delay. We will discuss delay later. That's under 1169. How about contraventions of the terms of the obligations? Meaning, nisimang, nisupak, you failed to follow, to obey, no? The terms of the obligations, meaning the agreement of the parties. So there's contravention. Wala nimo na follow ang terms ng obligation. Like for example, you're obliged to deliver 10 bottles of wine, pero imong na-deliver 5 bottles lang. Is there contravention to that of the terms? Yes, of course. There is violation of the undertaking. Wala nimo na follow. So because of that, you pay for damages. Kay kulangan ka og 5 bottles of wine. So, mo na siyang contravention of the terms of the obligations. Contravention of the terms of the obligations, these are the scenarios that is provided under 1167, obligation to do. So, the debtor fails to perform an obligation to do. Like, for example, you're going to sing on the birthday party of A. Then you fail to sing. So you fail to perform an obligation to do. Is that a contravention? Yes. Kaya wa man nimo gi-follow ang sabot. Next, perform an obligation to do but contrary to the terms. Like for example, you're going to sing a love song, but you sang what? You sang a rock song. So is that a contravention? Is that contrary to what has been stipulated by the parties? Yes. Next, debtor performs an obligation to do but in a poor manner. Very poor. Why? Nayabag ka. You are out of tune. Kasi you're expected to sing gracefully, no? In perfect tune. Dapat ka. Perfect. Dapat ang pagkakanta. Pero nayabag man ka. There is poor performance. And again, that's contravention sa terms. So still, you are guilty of what? Contravention of the terms of the agreement. So you are liable to pay for damages. Itong example kaganiha, A obliged himself to sing a love song for B. Number 1, A failed to sing. So he failed to perform the obligation to sing. Number 2, A sang a rock song or music. So A still performed the obligation to do, but that is contrary to what has been stipulated by the parties, which is to sing a love song. Number 3, A sang a love song but out of tune. So, in a poor manner. Still, that is in contravention of the terms of the agreement. So, here, A is liable for damages. Let's go to Article 1169. Article 1169 talks about delay. So, haba kayo ang 1169. I hope you have a copy of that. So, you have your textbook in Hector de Leon. The textbook, no? So, Article 1169. Those obliged to deliver or to do something incur in delay from the time the obligee judicially or extrajudicially demands from them the fulfillment of their obligation. However, the demand by the creditor shall not be necessary in order that delay may exist. Number 1, when the obligation or the law expressly so declares, or when from the nature and circumstances of the obligation, it appears that the designation of the time when the thing is to be delivered or the service is to be rendered was a controlling motive for the establishment of the contract, or when demand would be useless, as when the obligor has rendered it beyond his power to perform. In reciprocal obligations, neither the party incurs in delay if the other does not comply or is not ready to comply in a proper manner with what is incumbent upon him. From the moment one of the parties fulfills his obligation, delay by the other begins. So here, what do we mean by delay? Delay, class, meaning dili siya on time, no? Late ba late? Delay. So, if you're going to deliver a horse on May 1, you deliver the horse actually on May 3. So, there was delay on your part, di ba? Na-late na ka, mo nang delay. So, however here, under obligations and contracts, we have two kinds of delay. We have the ordinary delay and we have the legal delay. When we say ordinary delay, that is merely the failure to perform an obligation on time. So like my example, kaganiha, you have to deliver the horse on May 1, but you delivered the horse May 3 na. So that is ordinary delay. That's merely the failure to deliver the horse on time. How about legal delay? Kapag legal delay, that is default or mora. So that's the failure to perform an obligation on time, which failure constitutes breach of the obligation. So here, under Article 1169, we are talking about delay involving breach of obligation. Pasabot, we are talking about legal delay. Kinds of delay. Legal delay. We have mora solvendi, mora accipiendi, and compensatio morae. Mora solvendi, that's the delay on the part of the debtor to fulfill or to perform his obligation. Like A is to deliver the horse on May 1, but A delivered the horse on May 3. So there is delay on the part of A, the debtor. How about mora accipiendi? The delay on the part of the creditor, meaning delay on the part of the creditor to accept the performance of the obligation, no? Like for example, A is to deliver to B the horse on May 1, but on May 1, B refused to accept the horse. Or on May 1, B was not at the time and place sa ilahang sabot sa delivery ng horse. So there was delay on the part of B to accept the horse. So accipiendi, that's on the part of the creditor, the delay on the part of the creditor. How about compensatio morae? Compensatio morae, that pertains to the last paragraph ng 1169 na delay. So that is applicable, okay, in reciprocal obligations. So the delay of the obligors in reciprocal obligations, meaning the delay of the obligor cancels the delay of the obligee and vice versa. For example, A is to deliver to B a horse on May 1, and on May 1 also B has to pay 50,000 to A. So sabay, reciprocal ba? Sabayan, simultaneous. So kapag si A dili makadeliver ng horse on May 1, there is delay on the part of A. Pero kapag si A makadeliver ng horse on May 1, the delay on the part or the obligation on the part of B to pay 50,000 now begins or starts. So, dapat magbayad na si B. Kasi kapag hindi magbayad si B, by the time that A has already delivered the horse to him, then B now is in delay. No? Nanay delay on the part of B. Kasi dapat sabay sila maghatag. And since wala nakahatag si B ng payment, there is delay on his part. So that's compensation mores. Sabay ang pag-deliver, ang pag-perform ng obligation by both the creditor and the debtor. What are the requisites of delay or the legal delay? Again, we are talking about legal delay. Number one, there's failure of debtor to perform. So A is to deliver a horse on May 1. But A failed to deliver the horse on May 1. A delivered the horse instead on May 3. So there is failure on the part of A to deliver. That's number one. Number two, demand. Demand coming from B. No? So B has to demand A to deliver the horse. Kasi without the demand coming from B, then there is no legal delay. There is no delay in the first place. So A is to deliver to B a horse on May 1. On May 3, A delivered the horse. Question, was there demand coming from B asking A to deliver the horse on May 1? Wala. So question, is A already in delay? No. Why? Because there is no demand coming from B. A may be in ordinary delay lang, but A is not in legal delay. Remember, we are talking about legal delay. Now, number 3, failure to comply with such demand. Pasabot, wala siya naka-deliver ng horse. Nag-demand na si B, huy, A, i-deliver na ang horse. After demand, wala gihapon gi-deliver ni A ang horse. So, is A already in delay? Yes, already in legal delay. So, remember class, if there is no demand, there is no delay. The delay that we're talking about here is legal delay. Okay, that's under Article 1169. So, kung moingon kag delay with and the problem is silent, wala gi-mention kung legal or ordinary, the presumption is legal delay, default or mora. So again, what's the rule? If there is no demand, there is no delay. Examples. We have number 1, A obliged himself to deliver his horse to B on May 1, but the horse was delivered on May 5. Okay. What is the prestation here? Is the prestation or the subject matter a specific or generic thing? Of course, it is a specific thing, his horse. So it's a specific thing. And under the law, if you're going to deliver a specific thing, you are going to pay for damages. You will be liable for damages if there is delay on your part in performing your obligation. Okay, so here, the obligation of A is to deliver a horse on May 1, a specific horse. But the horse was delivered not on May 1 but on May 5. Now, is A already in delay? The answer is no. Why? There was no demand coming from B. So let's check the requisites. Number 1, there is failure on the part of A to deliver the horse. Yes, check. Number 2, there should be demand coming from B. In this example, there is no demand, so X. Number 3, failure to comply with such demand. X gihapon because in the first place, there's no demand. So let's apply the rule. There is no demand, then there is no delay. So is A already in delay in number 1? No, A is not in delay. A does not incur in delay in the first example. Number 2, A obliged himself to deliver his horse to B on May 1. Still, this is a specific thing. On May 2, B demanded for the delivery of the horse, but the horse was delivered on May 5. So, number 1, there is failure of A to deliver the horse. Yes, failure to deliver on May 1. Number 2, was there demand coming from B? Yes, on May 2, B demanded for the delivery of the horse. Number 3, on May 2, after the demand, was the horse delivered on May 2? No, there was no compliance on the part of A because the horse was not delivered on May 2. It was delivered pa on May 5 pa. So again, there was failure to comply with such demand. So, is A already in delay? Yes, A already incurred in delay in this example. Okay? So remember, we're talking about specific thing, we're talking about delay in this example. Again, if there is no demand, there is no delay. That's the general rule. In other words, class, for the debtor to incur in delay, there must be demand coming from the creditor, and such demand was not complied with by the debtor. So general rule, if there's no demand, there is no delay. Now, there are instances, class, wherein the demand is not necessary. Pasabot, even if without demand, still there is delay. Okay? Kasi general rule, dapat napay demand. Mag-demand pa ang creditor para the debtor would incur in delay. But these are the 5 instances wherein demand is no longer necessary. If any of these instances, class, is present, any of these, pasabot, even without demand, still the debtor incurs in delay. Okay? So number 1, when the obligation so provides. Number 2, when the law so provides. Number 3, when time is of the essence. Number 4, when demand would be useless. And number 5, when there is performance by the party in reciprocal obligations. Again, these 5 instances are provided for under 1169. So let's discuss each. Let's have an example of each instance. First instance, when the obligation so provides. So we have the first example. A obliged himself to deliver his horse to B on May 1 without need of any demand. Okay, underlined. But the horse was delivered on May 5. So there is an agreement there, a stipulation by the parties, that without need of any demand, if A cannot deliver the horse on May 1, A is automatically in delay. So here A delivered the horse on May 5 pa. So in number 1, A is already in delay. So again, when the obligation so provides. So in number 1, the obligation provides that without need of any demand, if A delivered the horse not on time, then A would incur in delay. Number 2, when the law so provides. So a business owner, is mandated by the tax code to pay his annual income tax on or before April 15. So he paid his taxes on May 1. Question, is A already on delay? The answer is yes, without any demand coming from the BIR kasi you pay your taxes to the BIR. Why? Why is there no demand necessary here? Because it is provided under the law. The law so provides, meaning the tax code here. This is the law here, the tax code. The tax code provides that you as a business owner has to pay your income tax on or before April 15. In this example, A paid his taxes on May 1, which is already beyond April 15. So A is already in delay, even without demand coming from the BIR. Number 3, when time is of the essence, meaning time is the controlling motive why you entered into that agreement. So A ordered a birthday cake from B to be delivered on the birthday of A. But B delivered the cake the following day. Tapos na ang birthday ni A. So question, is B already in delay? Yes, because here time is of the essence. Pasabot, i-deliver nimo on the day of the birthday of A, on the birthday of A, on the day of the celebration of A's birthday. If it's not delivered on the birthday of A, then it's no longer delivered on time. Even without demand coming from A, still B is already in delay because here time is of the essence. So we are done with the duties of a debtor in his obligation to deliver a determinate thing and an indeterminate thing. So under the determinate thing, we have the 5 duties, and under the indeterminate thing, we have only 2 duties. And we are done discussing delay, okay? So in case of delay, in case of fraud, negligence, delay, or contravention of the terms of the contract or the agreement of the parties, then the debtor or the guilty party is liable for damages. Okay, now let's go to 1174. 1174 provides that, except in cases expressly specified by law, or when it is otherwise declared by stipulation, or when the nature of the obligation requires the assumption of risk, no person shall be responsible for those events which could not be foreseen, or which, though foreseen, were inevitable. So class, kanang last phrase dira, events which could not be foreseen or which, though foreseen, were inevitable, that pertains to fortuitous event. No? The last phrase pertains to fortuitous event. Fortuitous event is under Article 1174. When you say fortuitous event, it is any event which cannot be foreseen. Hindi mo mabalaan nga may tabo. Or which, though foreseen, mabalaan mo, may tabo siya, it is inevitable. Meaning, dili mapugngan. Sama sa gugmang giatay, di mapugngan. Mao ba? Tama ba? Okay, kidding aside, it is an event which is either impossible to foresee or impossible to avoid. For example, rain. No? Ang rain. Mapugnan ba ang rain? Dili. For example, ang fire. Nagkasunog ang pikas balay. Why? Because of faulty wirings. Wala ni mo na foresee ang faulty wirings. So, nasunog. Fortuitous event siya. But class, remember, natay ginatawag nga act of man and act of God na fortuitous event. Act of man, fortuitous event is an event independent of the will of the obligor, but not of other human wills. Like for example, war, fire, robbery, murder. So na fire, provided class that it is independent of the will of the obligor. Pasabot, walay appeal si debtor, dili sala ni debtor. Wala siya nag-contribute sa sunog. So kung wala nag-contribute si debtor sa sunog, the sunog here is considered a fortuitous event, but an act of man. No? Kinsa man din nag-contribute ang silingan. Gituyo ng silingan pagsunog ang balay. Okay? So, other person ang nakasala, dili si debtor. So, that is a fortuitous event, but an act of man. How about an act of God? We have earthquake, we have flood, rain, lightning, eruption of volcano. So, these are acts of God. Okay? Cannot be foreseen. But if foreseen, it is impossible to avoid. Inevitable siya. Di mapugngan ang earthquake. Nag-ulan na, mapugngan pa ba di mo? Nag-flood na ng lightning, nagkilat-kilat na. So these are acts of God. So we have here ordinary and extraordinary fortuitous events. Ordinary class, they are common, and which the contracting parties could reasonably foresee. Just like rain, mabala na ito nga muulan kay nagdulong na ang langit or naa sa weather forecast. So na-foresee na po. So these are ordinary fortuitous events. Ordinary, the parties can reasonably foresee. How about extraordinary fortuitous events? These are not common, and these are the events which the contracting parties could not have reasonably foreseen. Hindi niya ma-foresee, hindi ma-foresee ng parties. Just like earthquake, mukalit lang pag linog. No? Fire, na by fire forecast, nakaroon mga tupir na isunog na mahitabo. Wala. So, that's an extraordinary fortuitous event on fire. Okay? So, that's the difference between the ordinary and the extraordinary fortuitous event. Now, let's go to the requisites of fortuitous event. What are the requisites of fortuitous event, class? Para consider nga fortuitous event siya. Kasi kapag may fortuitous event, in case of the failure of the debtor to perform his obligation because of fortuitous event, then the debtor is not liable for damages. Remember ka itong kaganiha? Fraud, negligence, delay, contravention of the terms of the agreement. Kato siya, puro to sala ni debtor. Kaya liable siya for damages. Now, what if there was failure on the part of the debtor to deliver the horse? Not because of his fault, but because of fortuitous event. Is the debtor liable for damages? No. Mo nang makapasalba kay debtor. Once ang reason of failure on the part of the debtor to perform his obligation is fortuitous event, then save siya, ma-save siya. Safe si debtor. Pasabot, debtor would not answer for damages. Di siya makabayad sa danyos. Wala siya'y sala. Provided class na kanang nga fortuitous event, no? Present kini nga requisites sa kanang nga fortuitous event. Number 1, the event must be independent of the debtor's will. Like for example, the debtor is to deliver a horse on May 1. But on May 2, namatay na ang horse because of lightning, no? So question, is the debtor liable sa death ng horse? Magbayad ba gyapon siya? Mag-deliver ba gyapon siya ng horse? That's the question. Namatay ang horse, what's the reason? What's the cause of death? Gipatay siya ni debtor. O kung gipatay siya ni debtor, sala ni debtor. Liable for damages. Now, what if namatay ang horse because of lightning? Lightning, a fortuitous event. Wala gituyo ni debtor. Independent of the debtor's will. Dili si debtor ang nagbuhat sa lightning, of course. So, that lightning can be considered fortuitous event. So, namatay si horse because of the lightning, a fortuitous event, safe si debtor. Dili siya liable for damages. Dili siya liable to comply with his obligation. Okay? That is, if the thing is specific. Kasi kapag specific thing class, nawala ang specific thing, not because of the debtor's fault, then the debtor is safe, not liable to comply with the obligation. Why? Wala naman siya makitaan nga other horse. Because the horse is specific, unique, nag-iisa lang, his horse. But if the debtor is to deliver a horse, even if the horse died because of the fortuitous event, still, the debtor has to deliver a horse. Why? Makapalit mangyapon siya og another horse because the horse is generic, not specific. Okay? So we will discuss that later na. Okay, lengthily in later. Number 2, the event could not be foreseen. If foreseen is inevitable. Like, ang lightning, wala ka nagdahom, wala ka nag-expect na naay kilat nga mahitabo. Or if naaman, di na nimo mapugngan ang kilat. So that is a fortuitous event. Another requisite. Renders it impossible for the debtor to comply. Pasabot, because of the lightning, di na siya makadeliver kay patay naman si horse. Or number 4, debtor must be free from any participation of the injury to the creditor. So same na siya sa number 1, meaning the debtor, the event is independent of the debtor's will. Walay gibuhat si debtor, wala siya gi-contribute sa pagkamatay ng horse. Meaning, dili siya ang nagpatay sa horse. Meaning, dili siya ang rason nganong namatay ang horse. Pwede dili siyang nagpatay, posible wala niya gibahugan ang horse mo namatay. So kanang wala niya pag-feed sa horse kaya namatay si horse, there is a participation on his part. There's contribution on the part of the debtor to the death of the horse. So kapag na participation sa iyang part, na siya contribution sa kamatayon sa horse, then dili na siya fortuitous event ang pagkamatay ng horse. Dapat class kining upat nga requisites, these are present sa problem para ang event is considered fortuitous. And once fortuitous, wala gituyo, dili sala ni debtor, the debtor is safe. The debtor is not liable at all. Okay? General rule. The general rule is the debtor is not liable if non-performance or failure on his part is due to fortuitous event. Diba? Ingon ko, kapag due to fortuitous event ang kamatayon sa horse, the debtor is not liable. However, class, again, there are exceptions to the general rule. What are those? These are the 3 exceptions. Meaning, any of these exceptions would make the debtor liable. Bisag pa na ay fortuitous event. Okay? What are the exceptions? Number 1, when expressly specified by law. Number 2, when declared by the stipulations of the parties. And number 3, when the nature of the obligation requires the assumption of risk. So number 1, specified by law. Article 1170. Pasabot, even if the horse died because of lightning, class, but the debtor was already in delay. Like for example, the A is to deliver the horse on May 1. On May 2, B demanded for the delivery of the horse, but A still failed to deliver the horse. On May 3, the horse died. Okay, question. The horse died because of lightning. So question, what was the cause of death? Lightning. Lightning is a fortuitous event. So ma'am, fortuitous event man na siya. So, dili liable si debtor. Okay, let's analyze the problem. Was there fraud on the part of the debtor? None. Was there delay on the part? Yes. Why? Because the debtor is supposed to deliver the horse on May 1. And there was demand coming from the creditor, coming from B, on May 2. Remember, if there is demand, there is delay. And with that demand, the debtor failed to comply with that demand, failed to deliver the horse on May 2. So, there is already delay. On May 3, namatay. So, since the debtor already incurs in delay, so the debtor is liable despite the death of the horse due to a fortuitous event. Mo ng Article 1170 because of delay. Or the debtor promised to deliver the thing to different person. The same thing. A is to deliver the horse to B on May 1. After that agreement, A entered into another agreement with C to deliver the same horse to C. So if A promised to deliver the same horse to B and C, no? Si B and C, they are different persons. They have different interests. So A, in that example, bisag pa mamatay ang horse ng lightning the following day, the fact that A has promised to deliver the horse to different persons, the same horse to different persons, A is liable, okay? Still liable for the death of the horse. Bisag pag namatay because of fortuitous event. Next, the obligation to deliver the specific thing arises from a crime. What do you mean by that? Like for example, A is to deliver a horse to B. His horse to B, specific thing. And B is to pay A not by money but what? By delivering shabu. Remember shabu? Shabu, when you're going to sell shabu, that's a crime. So the prestation there, it's void. Shabu as a prestation is void. So even if, let's say the horse, his horse, mamatay because of lightning, fortuitous event, but the fact na it arises from a crime or gikawat niya ang horse, arises from a crime, still the debtor is liable. Like, gikawat niya, kinawat to niya katong horse. So he stole the horse of his neighbor, and then he told B that that horse was his. Nung siya akuha na horse, pero dahil gikawat niya. So there is theft already. Theft is a crime, pagpangawat. So the obligation to deliver the thing arises from a crime, which is theft. So still, the debtor here is liable. Now, when the thing to be delivered is generic, mo ni akong gingon sa inyo ha. Class, kapag ang thing to deliver is a specific thing, tapos wala kay sala nga namatay ang horse katong specific thing, let's just presume no fault on the part of the debtor. The thing, the specific thing, which is the horse, died because of lightning, and then the lightning is a fortuitous event. There's no fault on the part of the debtor whatsoever. Class, the debtor is no longer liable to deliver the horse. Why? Because the thing here is specific. The specific thing, if that is lost, or if the specific thing, in this case the horse, died because of a fortuitous event, the debtor is no longer liable to deliver or to perform his obligation. Kaya patay naman ang horse. What if the horse is generic? Meaning, A is to deliver a horse. Class, pag mamatay ang horse, still, the debtor is liable to perform his obligation because ang gimension lang horse. That is generic. Pasabot, ang horse class, di jud na siya, pasabot ang horse, daghay horse. Kasi there is what we call genus never perishes. No? So, bisag mamatay patong horse, and the horse is generic, still the debtor is liable to deliver another horse. Kasi nga, generic. Pasabot, makita ra nimo ng horse na kasi generic siya. But if you're going to say his horse, di na nimo makita katong horse niya, kay nag-iisa lang ang iyang horse. Unique lang to siya. His horse named Tristan. Katong si Tristan na horse, nag-iisa lang to sa kalibutan. Pero pag mayroon kag horse lang, daghay horse. Okay? So, ma-replace gyapon nimo. If it's a generic thing, you can always replace it with the same class, with the same kind, if the thing is generic. But if the thing is specific, you can never replace that thing with another thing. Kasi nag-iisa lang ang specific thing. Number 2, when declared by the parties. Pasabot, the parties stipulated that even if the thing is lost because of fortuitous events, still the debtor is liable, then you follow the stipulation. You follow the agreement. Number 3, when the nature of the obligation requires the assumption of risk. For example, kanang mga life insurance or mga fire insurance. So, you have a building, naka-insure siya sa fire. Once na masunog, fortuitous event man ang sunog, let's just say, all the requisites are present sa fortuitous event. Question, is the insurance company liable? Yes, because the nature of the obligation of the insurance company requires the assumption of risk. Mo gani imong gi-insure ang imuhang property. Moingon man ang insurance company, oops, fire sa fortuitous event, dapat dili mi liable. Yes, as a general rule, dili mo liable, but you fall under the number 3 exception. And what is that? The nature of your obligation, kamo nga insurance company, requires the assumption of risk. Kanang imong pag-assume sa risk, mao na mong gibayaran sa imuha. Kay nagbayad man mi sa insurance company para in kaso masunog ang amuang building, among property, bayaran mi sa insurance company. I-assume ng insurance company ang obligation. So, mo na siya ang number 3. Okay, let's have examples. A is obliged to deliver his specific dog to B on May 5. On May 1, the dog was hit by lightning and died, namatay. Question, is the lightning here fortuitous event? Yes, di niya ito mapugngan. Because A left it outside his house on a rainy day. Okay. Remember the requisites of a fortuitous event? Para matawag na fortuitous event, para safe si debtor, unsang requisites para dili liable si debtor? The four requisites, di ba? So, number one, it must be independent of the debtor's will. That's one, no? It cannot be foreseen. If it can be foreseen, it is inevitable, di mapugngan. We also have this requisite na there must be no participation on the part of the debtor that would lead to what? To the injury, no, of the creditor. Okay. Here, the dog was hit by lightning. Check. Can lightning be avoided? No. Okay, pasok sa banga. Second, it died because A left it outside his house on a rainy day. So there was what? Negligence on the part of A. There was participation on the part of A that led to the death of the dog, which resulted in the injury. Kang kinsa na injury kay creditor. Why? Nganong na may damage kay creditor? Nganong na may injury kay creditor? Because dili na ma-deliver ang dog kay creditor. Nagbayad na gud si creditor, tapos wala din na-deliver ang specific dog sa iyaha. The creditor here is B. So question, is A liable for damages? The answer is yes. Why? Because even if it was due to a fortuitous event, there was negligence on the part of A. Under Article 1170. Remember 1170, negligence. And remember that is an exception to the general rule that in case of non-performance because of fortuitous event, then the debtor is not liable. What's the exception? If it is expressly provided by the law. The law under Article 1170, negligence. Number 2, on May 5, A obliged himself to deliver his dog to B. On May 6, he obliged himself also to deliver it to C. On May 4, the dog died because of lightning. Now, remember the exception to the general rule class when the debtor promised the same thing to different persons. So here, even if the death of the dog was due to a fortuitous event, the fact that the debtor promised the same thing, that dog, that specific dog, kasi his dog, diba? He promised the same thing to two persons, different persons, B and C. Still A is liable for damages. So the exception to the general rule applies. A stole the carabao of B. On May 1, A obliged to deliver the carabao to C to be delivered on May 5. On May 3, the carabao was hit by lightning and died. Question, what was the cause of death? Lightning. Lightning is a fortuitous event, yes. But is A liable for damages? Is A liable for the death of the carabao? The answer is yes. That is the exception to the general rule. When the obligation to deliver a specific thing arises from what? From a crime. And here, the crime is stealing. Stealing the carabao of B is a crime. That is theft. Just like what I had kanina, katong example kaganiha, nangawat ka. So, since the obligation to deliver a thing arises from a crime, which is theft in this example, A is still liable for damages, even if the death of the carabao was due to a fortuitous event. Number 2, on May 1, A obliged to deliver the carabao to C to be delivered on May 5. The parties stipulated that A will still be liable for damages even if due to fortuitous event. On May 3, the Carabao died because of lightning. So here, is A still liable for damages even if the death of the Carabao was due to lightning, was due to fortuitous event? The answer is yes. Why? This is another exception to the general rule. What's the exception? When it is stipulated by the parties. Pasabot, when it is stipulated by the parties that in case of non-performance due to fortuitous event, the debtor is still liable for damages. So you follow the stipulation. You follow the agreement of the parties. Okay? So again, if the exceptions to the general rule are present, you apply the exceptions. And when we say the exceptions are applicable, the debtor is liable. Okay? Recap. When the thing is lost due to a fortuitous event, it depends, no? Ang liability ng debtor depends whether the thing is specific or generic. Why? Because if the thing is specific and it was lost because of a fortuitous event, no fault on the part of the debtor is no longer liable at all to deliver the thing and not liable also for damages. But if the thing is generic, the debtor can always look for another thing of the same kind. Kasi genus never perishes. Can always look for another horse of the same kind, of the same class. So, still the debtor is liable to deliver a horse. Kasi nga, a horse is generic. But if it is specific, no longer liable to deliver that horse. Kasi you can never find that specific horse na. Kasi it's unique. Unlike if it is generic. Okay, example. A is obliged to deliver his specific dog to B on May 5. On May 1, the dog was hit by lightning and died. Question, is A liable for damages? Is A liable to deliver another dog? The answer is no. Why? Because here the thing is specific. As a rule, if the specific thing is lost because of fortuitous event, then the debtor is no longer liable. Number 2, A is obliged to deliver a dog to B on May 5. On May 1, the dog was hit by lightning and died. Is A still liable to deliver a dog? Yes, because here the thing is generic. A can always look for another dog. Daghay dog sa kalibutan. So still A is liable to deliver a dog to B. Before we end, let's have this example. On May 1, Anna obliged herself to deliver a specific dog to Ben on May 10. So the sale was executed on May 1. There was an agreement between Anna and Ben that Anna is to deliver a specific dog to Ben. When? When is the delivery date? May 10. So on May 10, Anna is to deliver the specific dog to Ben without need of any demand. On May 6, the dog gave birth to 5 puppies. Number 1. Suppose Anna failed to deliver the dog on May 10. Is Anna guilty of delay if no demand was made by Ben? The answer is yes. Why? Because there was a stipulation by the parties that without need of any demand, Anna, no, is already in delay in case Anna failed to deliver the specific dog to Ben on May 10, on the delivery date, meaning on time. Number 2, suppose the dog was struck by lightning and eventually died on May 4. Is Anna's obligation to deliver the dog extinguished? The answer is yes. Why? This is a specific thing. Under the law, the loss of a specific thing due to a fortuitous event, okay, would render the debtor not liable, no longer liable at all. Number 3, Is Anna required to exercise the diligence of a good father of a family in taking care of the dog pending delivery? Is she required? The answer is, in this example, yes. Why? Because the problem is silent. Remember, if the problem is silent, the standard of care is the diligence of a good father of a family. Number 4, can Ben ask for the delivery of the puppies? The answer is yes, of course. Why? Because the thing is a specific thing. Remember, if the thing is specific, the debtor has the duty to deliver also the fruits of the thing. And in this example, the fruits are the puppies. The 5 puppies. Number 5. Suppose Anna failed to deliver the specific dog on May 10, and on May 11, the dog died for being struck by lightning. Is Anna liable for damages to Ben? The answer is yes. Why? Because remember, the party stipulated that Anna, in case of Anna's failure to deliver the specific dog on time, Anna is already in delay. Why? Because there is no need of any demand. Kasi remember the general rule, if there's no demand, there's no delay. The general rule does not apply here. Why? Because the parties stipulated that there is no need of any demand on the part of Ben. Once Anna failed to deliver the dog on time, Anna is already in delay. So the question is Anna liable for damages? The answer, of course, is yes, because Anna is already in delay because of that stipulation. But without such stipulation, you go back to the general rule that there is no demand, then there is no delay. So class, kung walay stipulation kanang naka-underline dira, wala na siya, you apply the general rule. So kailangan pa ng demand para si Anna is considered to be in delay. Okay? So that's all for today. Thank you so much for your time.